Hey there, Alto. Welcome back for part 6, our final part, Teaching Through Repertoire on Galactic Adventure. We're going to focus this time on the last section, measures 49 to the end. We're going to go ahead and include 57 to the end because that's just a little 4-bar coda there. The great thing about this, if you check out measure 49 and you check out measure 13, we've already actually learned this, but we're going to go ahead and go through the whole thing anyway, just in case you've forgotten. But if you did all the steps in measure 13, which was part 3 of this series, then you should already have this section down, except for the last 4 bars at the very end. So let's go ahead and clap and count measure 49. Ta and clapping. 1, 2, ready, and ta, ta, dee, ta, dee, ta, 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 dee, ta, dee, ta, 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 dee, ta, dee, ta, 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 dee, ta, dee, ta, 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 dee, ta, dee, ta, 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 dee, ta, dee, ta, 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 ta. Remember that last one's got a tied 8th note over there, so you're going to hold all the way to that next downbeat and cut off right on that. Ta. Don't cut that off early. Remember your last 2 notes as our other new note. We learned G sharp earlier. Remember this one is C sharp. So C is here, C sharp is nothing. So you're just balancing the saxophone with your thumb and your mouth. So hopefully your embouchure is good and your teeth are down. Otherwise your saxophone might fall out of your face. All right, when you're ready with that, if you feel good with the notes and rhythms, we'll go ahead and say our fingerings. Say the note names while we do the fingerings, rather. I'm going to show you my saxophone here so we can see this together. We'll go through it. 1, say the note names while you do the fingerings. 1, 2, ready, and A, B, B, C, A, E, D, D, C, C, A, B, B, C, B, G, A, B, B, C, A, E, D, D, C, C, A, B, B, C, B, G, 57, A, B, C sharp, C sharp. You notice I had to fumble with some keys there to hold the saxophone up because of the way I was holding it. Got to make sure that's good and in place when you're playing that. If we try to go from B, which you still only have one finger holding it, but you got something, to C sharp, and you don't have it in your mouth well, it's just going to fall out. And you don't want that. That's what happened to me. I was trying to hold the saxophone like this, and I had nothing to hold on to. So you don't need any fingers down for that note. So ignore the fact that I put a couple down to hold it in place. All right, if you feel good with that, you got your note names down, you're solid, we'll go ahead and play through it. If not, go back, do it again, use the speed controls and slow it down as many times as you need to. On those last 4 bars there, all those notes you notice are accented. They're all half notes or whole notes, but they're all accented. So you're still going to put a little oomph on them and then put a little baby crescendo. We've been talking about these crescendos. Put a little bit of extra movement from one note to the next. Da, da, da. Give it some energy to finish off the piece here. And then the last note, hold it a full 4 beats and right off on 1. You just want to let it drift off into space and let the sound just ring. If we all do that, it'd be really cool. Here's 49, playing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Great, you did it. You got through the whole piece. If you struggle trying to make your breaths on that whole thing, remember we're going to try to shoot for those 4 bars. If you can make it 4-bar phrase, that takes us to the half notes in 52. If you can't quite make it there, find somewhere to breathe where nobody's going to notice. And then from 53 to the end, really you should breathe before 57, but that kind of ruins that little moment there if we breathe. So try to find somewhere to breathe where it just seems like it won't bother anybody. Normally if we were in a whole band, we'd have you make sure you didn't breathe when your neighbor was breathing. We call that stagger breathing. But while we're all remote, we just kind of have to talk about it. So we'll have to figure out in class who's going to breathe where so that when we record this, everybody doesn't take a breath at the same exact time. So you can breathe after 52. You can breathe before 57 if you need it. Whatever you do, don't breathe before the last note. That's the big kicker. We got to have those last 2 notes nice and solid, and then a big ringing end. So whatever you got to do for that, we'll make it work. All right, you're all done. Go back, watch as many of these parts as you need. Do them over and over again until you feel really comfortable with them. But once you're done with this, you should have Galactic Adventure all done. All right, we'll see you in class.